What's up, YouTube, and welcome back. Well, I've had a couple people ask me about the C10 and my suspension setup, so I'm going to try to do the best I can explaining it, and hope it helps you guys out. So this is my 67 C10. It was originally a long box. I cut it down. It's actually in a garage fire before I got it. So this is not the original cab, but original front clip, original bed. Okay, the tailgate is not painted on top. That is actually from when it was in the fire. I just did the lettering a little bit ago, but we ended up cleaning out the scale and put clear coat on it. So since we're back here, here's our rear setup. These are, I can't remember, I think they were AVS Evolve notches. So it comes from down here up over. You just buy the pair of notches. I ended up going to a local steel supply and I bought that 2-inch tubing. 2-inch blocks in the rear. These brackets were on eBay along with the part that actually sits on the axle. The track bar is for like a 04 Grand Prix or Impala or something. It was like 30 bucks at AutoZone or O'Reilly. I ended up cutting it down, welded the end back on. I made the custom mount. That actually needs to get mounted lower. My pumps are just half-ass on there. They are Viair 444Cs. So for the back, we have two 3-gallon, I'm guessing, compressors. Or not compressors, tanks. We're running Vixen 3/8 valves. There's 2 bags per wheel. I guess I should explain that because some people that are watching this aren't gonna know air ride. They're wanting to know more. So I made blocks so I can drag, but I got my tanks mounted on the outside of the frame. Both tanks are tied together. And here's my mess of valves. So since I'm hoping maybe newbies will find this video informational, I'm going to explain exactly how to route the airlines. With the assistance of these two handsome gentlemen and their chalk, draw an illustration. So right here you have your compressor. Your compressor feeds your tank. Your tank has your lines that go off to your valves. So your line comes off, goes to your first valve. Your valve, this is your fill valve. This lets the pressure go from the tank past this valve. When you open that, say you run at 75 psi. You let your 75 psi in, that valve closes, and then it tees off. This is your dump valve. So that 75 pounds you just left in or let in, that is going to go to your airbag. When you want to deflate your airbag or air out, you hit your dump valve. Your dump valve will let that 75 pounds out back to 0 or whatever height you want it. So there is a pretty basic illustration. Each valve is going to have a positive and a negative. So that being said, these having a positive and negative, you would ground your negative right to your frame. Your positive, depending on how you do it. So I'm running an AVS 7 switch box. This has a bunch of wires that come out of it. Can't remember how many wires. But the way this works is this button up is all airbags up. Down, all airbags down. These are your front switches. So you have your front driver, front passenger, rear driver, rear passenger, rear, and front. So pretty self-explanatory. Nothing fancy about it. These are like 130 bucks, I want to say. So these will have 2 wires or 1 wire to each valve, I want to say. And then there's a power wire, a ground wire, and something else. But pretty easy. So that is the basics of how the airbags work, how you wire the valves, how you control the valves. They have lots and lots of different ways to control the valves. They have digital, Bluetooth. I'm not that fancy. I like having switches in my hand. It's a lot more fun. So now we're going to go off and explain the front. We just dropped the truck. So I'm running CPP, Classic Performance Products, upper tubular control arms. I'm running stock lower control arms. They are cupped with a 3-inch cups from Twisted Images. I think that's what I want to say that is who it is. But 3-inch cups, upper control arms are tubular. Also CCP or CPP 2.5-inch drop spindles, disc brake conversion. I stayed with the 6-on 5.5 so I could run the transport wheels, which I like them. My other setup is some 15-inch wheels off a square body 4x4. So I also have a 2-inch pancake. I have a video on that, very explanatory on what needs to be done. So also with the pancake, whatever you take out of your cross member, you have to move your steering up that far. So since I took out 2 inches, my gearbox over here had to come up 2 inches. You have to notch out your frame for your steering unless you go with the rack and pinion. You'll have to get rid of your rag joint. I had my rag joint up until about a month ago when it failed on me because I had a bunch of universals and I lost steering leaving a car show. So this was the best way I found. I welded. This was the original bracket that went onto the rag joint. I cut that off. I welded on D-shaft, 2 universals, and then that top one slides up into the steering column. Since I went disc brakes, the brake booster had to be upgraded because the front is disc brakes and the back is drum brakes. So you got your proportioning valve on there. Also CPP. I did a small block conversion. It was originally set up for straight 6 with a 3 on the tree. I went 350 and a 350 turbo trans. Definitely have to go with the bigger alternator. I can't remember what this is, but also have a video on this. I don't think it's posted yet, but it will be. This is 160 amp. It's pretty much a GM1 wire. That video is pretty explanatory too, in my opinion. But that is pretty much the setup. On the inside, well, okay, one more thing. When you do try to get this low, your factory hood hinges, they sit right here. This is actually one of the top hood hinge bolts. So you will, if you try to go this low, you will have to either buy hood hinges from Switch Performance. I think that's the company. I actually fabricated these, made these myself, and saved myself about $400, I want to say. So that is pretty much the setup. I think we're going to take it out in the driveway because Bentley wants to play with switches, right? You want to hit them? Okay, go up. See how much air is in the tank. Okay, not very much. Hit the back. No, hit the back button. Up. On the back. On the back. You're wasting all the air. Okay, go down. These buttons. It's fun hitting switches, isn't it? So on my interior, can't remember who makes the steering wheel, but these seats are actually really comfortable. Can you fold down the center console, Bentley? These are the back seats out of a 2009 Lincoln MKX. Leather fold down center console with cup holders. Exactly what you need in a cruiser. So that is what I built this truck for, was cruising, car shows, me and the kids. And it gets a lot of attention. So when I cruise, this is actually ride height. So I run about 75 in the front, 20 in the rear. Another thing I did not mention is how the pumps actually turn on. So I have a main power that comes from the front battery back here. That's what that yellow cable is, if you can see it next to Airlines. So then I have a sense wire. This gets 12 volt. 12 volt comes off of this, comes back to, I have a set of relays. The relays are ran off, goes through this. This is my pressure switch. The pressure switch turns on at 140, turns off at 180. So should never have to worry about overfilling tanks. So hopefully this video is very useful to a lot of people out there. I don't know a lot of people around here that do stuff like this, but it might still be popular in other parts of the world. So Bentley, hit them switches. Go down. Gotta keep the kids involved. Go all the way down. All the way down. Better than video games. So like, comment, share, subscribe. See you on the next one. And I have all of these videos in the playlist. If you look down below, find the playlist, subscribe if you haven't, and see you on the next one.